Listen carefully to the silence before the storm breaks. In that moment when the world holds its breath, they appear, black wings cutting through twilight skies, eyes like obsidian mirrors reflecting humanity's darkest impulses. Ravens, always ravens. Before every great conflict that has scarred human history, witnesses speak of unusual gatherings of these corvids. They perched on the walls of Troy before Paris stole Helen. They circled the Senate on the Ides of March. They filled the skies above Gettysburg 3 days before brother would raise sword against brother. Mere coincidence, scholars might claim. But those who walk the hidden paths between worlds know better. These are not ordinary birds seeking carrion. They are heralds, servants of something far more ancient and terrible than human understanding can grasp. Something that delights in the symphony of discord, that feeds on the moment when love turns to hatred, when trust becomes betrayal, when peace transforms into war. The ravens are watching. They have always been watching, and their master is pleased. Subscribe to unlock the forbidden knowledge that lies ahead. Ring the bell to join our circle of seekers who dare to look beyond the veil. Deep within the pages of the Ars Goetia, written in symbols that seem to writhe when viewed by candlelight, lies a name that wise practitioners whisper with trembling lips: Andras. The 63rd spirit among the 72 princes of Hell's hierarchy. Not the strongest, perhaps, but arguably the most insidious in his workings upon the mortal realm. Medieval grimoires describe him as a Grand Marquis, a title that speaks to his elevated status among the damned nobility. Yet his true power lies not in brute force or obvious manifestation, but in the subtle art of corruption. Where other demons might tear reality asunder with claws and fire, Andras prefers the scalpel's precision, cutting away the bonds that hold human society together, one carefully placed word at a time. The ancient texts tell us he commands 30 legions of lesser spirits, each one an expert in the delicate craft of turning friend against friend, lover against beloved. These are not the crude temptations of lesser fiends, but masterpieces of psychological manipulation that would leave even modern propagandists in awe. But what makes Andras truly terrifying is his patience. While other entities of the abyss seek immediate gratification, he is content to plant seeds of discord that may not bloom for generations. A whispered doubt here, a moment of jealousy there, and slowly, inevitably, the greatest alliances crumble to dust. When Andras chooses to manifest in our reality, his form defies natural law in ways that unsettle even experienced occultists. The texts describe a being that walks upright like a man, yet bears the head of a great raven, not grafted or transformed, but as if both forms exist simultaneously in perfect, impossible harmony. In his right hand, he carries a blade that gleams with its own malevolent light. This is no ordinary weapon forged in earthly fires. The sword of Andras cuts deeper than flesh, severing the invisible threads that bind hearts together. One touch of this ethereal steel, and the strongest marriage becomes bitter rivalry. The deepest friendship transforms into venomous hatred. Political alliances that seemed unbreakable dissolve into factional warfare. Those who have witnessed his manifestation speak of eyes like twin voids that reflect not light, but the observer's own capacity for betrayal. To look upon Andras directly is to see every cruel thought you've ever harbored about those you claim to love. Every moment of petty jealousy or calculated betrayal magnified until it becomes the only truth you can remember. Yet for all his terrifying aspect, Andras rarely engages in direct violence. His satisfaction comes not from destroying bodies, but from watching as humans destroy themselves. The blade he carries is symbolic as much as literal, a representation of division itself made manifest. The medieval practitioners who dared to contact Andras learned through bitter experience that he is perhaps the most dangerous of the Goetic spirits to approach incorrectly. Unlike demons who might simply refuse to appear if the ritual is flawed, Andras actively punishes those who summon him without proper preparation. The grimoires contain warnings written in languages that predate Latin, cautioning that the Grand Marquis has little patience for the incompetent or disrespectful. Those who attempt to bind him through crude coercion rather than respectful invitation find their lives unraveling with supernatural speed. Marriages dissolve overnight. Business partnerships collapse. Friendships of decades turn into bitter enmity without apparent cause. But the truly unfortunate, those who dare to threaten or attempt to command Andras, face a fate described in whispers among occult scholars. They become conduits for pure discord, unable to speak without causing offense, unable to touch another person without inspiring revulsion or rage. They walk alone through a world where their very presence turns love to hatred. The protocols for safely approaching Andras require not just knowledge of protective circles and binding phrases, but a deep understanding of conflict itself. The summoner must be prepared to offer something valuable, not gold or sacrifice, but perhaps the resolution of a particular dispute that amuses the demon, or the orchestration of a new conflict that serves his greater purposes. In the grand theater of human existence, Andras serves as both playwright and director of our most tragic scenes. He moves through mortal affairs like a master craftsman, identifying the hairline cracks in relationships and applying precisely the right pressure to split them wide. Consider the seemingly natural progression of a family feud. A minor inheritance dispute escalates into generational warfare. Siblings who once shared childhood secrets become sworn enemies. Children learn to hate cousins they've never met based on grievances older than memory. This is Andras at work, taking the raw materials of human emotion and sculpting them into monuments of lasting discord. In the realm of politics, his touch is equally deft. Two leaders who share similar goals find themselves at odds over trivial differences. Alliance treaties crumble over questions of protocol. Nations that should be natural partners engage in destructive competition that benefits only their mutual enemies. The Grand Marquis watches from the shadows, delighting in how easily human pride can be weaponized against human prosperity. Yet perhaps his greatest masterwork lies in the realm of intimate relationships. The lover's quarrel that destroys a perfect marriage, the misunderstood gesture that ends a lifelong friendship, the professional rivalry that ruins promising collaborations. In each case, Andras provides not the initial spark. Humans generate their own conflicts readily enough, but the steady wind that fans small flames into consuming infernos. The title of Grand Marquis carries weight beyond mere ceremony in the hierarchies of hell. Andras commands 30 legions of lesser spirits, each perfectly attuned to specific aspects of discord and conflict. This vast network operates with clockwork precision, ensuring that no human quarrel remains merely local or temporary. These subordinate entities specialize in different forms of division. Some excel at poisoning romantic relationships, whispering doubts about fidelity or devotion. Others focus on professional environments, turning healthy competition into destructive sabotage. Still others work on larger scales, influencing political movements or religious schisms that can reshape entire civilizations. The efficiency of this infernal bureaucracy explains much about the nature of human conflict. Why do disagreements so often escalate beyond reasonable proportion? Why do minor differences of opinion transform into irreconcilable ideological warfare? Why do peaceful societies suddenly tear themselves apart in fits of factional violence? The answer lies not in human nature alone, but in the patient, methodical work of Andras and his 30 legions. Each legion operates with supernatural coordination, their efforts multiplying and reinforcing each other across vast distances and time periods. A marriage dissolved in one city weakens the bonds between lovers 1,000 miles away. A friendship betrayed in one generation plants seeds of suspicion that will poison trust for centuries to come. Yet for all their power, these legions remain bound by certain limitations. They cannot create hatred where love has never existed, but they can corrupt love into its shadow. They cannot invent reasons for conflict, but they can ensure that every genuine disagreement becomes a cause for war. As twilight deepens and the last light fades from the western sky, a question echoes through the chambers of eternity. Are we truly masters of our own discord, or merely instruments in a symphony conducted by beings whose purposes we cannot fathom? Every harsh word spoken in anger, every friendship sacrificed to pride, every alliance broken by suspicion, are these merely human failings, or do they carry the subtle fingerprints of Andras and his legions? In those moments when we feel most justified in our conflicts, most certain of our righteousness, perhaps we should pause and listen for the sound of dark wings beating in the spaces between our thoughts. The ravens still gather before great conflicts. They still watch with obsidian eyes as humanity tears itself apart over differences that, in the grand scope of eternity, seem almost trivial. And somewhere in the shadows between worlds, the Grand Marquis of Discord smiles with a beak that has never known mercy. Perhaps the greatest mystery is not whether Andras exists, but why the knowledge of his influence brings so little change to human behavior. Even knowing that our conflicts might be orchestrated from beyond the veil, we continue to dance to the rhythm of discord. We continue to choose division over unity, suspicion over trust, warfare over peace. The echo of the raven's cry fades into silence, leaving only questions that have no comfortable answers. In the end, we are left to wonder. If we could definitively prove that supernatural forces manipulate our conflicts, would it matter? Would we choose differently, or would we simply find new reasons to justify the discord that seems so fundamental to our nature? The ravens know. They have always known, and they will continue watching, waiting for the next great conflict to begin. Subscribe and tell us in the comments, which mythological entity would you like us to unveil next? Share this video with those who dare to question the true nature of human conflict, and join our community of seekers who refuse to accept the obvious explanations. What ancient forces do you believe still influence our world today?